Good morning, friends. I welcome you all to online C class. Today we are going to discuss about error handling in file operations. In the last few classes, we have already discussed how to open a file, how to close a file, and then how to write one character at a time to the file, and how to read one character at a time from the file, and how to write integers to the file, and how to read integer values from the file, and how we can write and read the formatted data to the file and from the file. These are the things that we have discussed in the last few classes on files. And in this class, this is lecture 4 on files. In this lecture, we are going to discuss about how to handle errors while performing the operations on the files. So these are the things that we are going to discuss in today's class. The objectives that we are going to have for today's class is error handling in file operations. And then we will discuss varieties of functions which can be used to identify the errors while performing read and write operations on the files. And after discussing these functions, we are going to see a program on error handling of files. We are going to write a complete program with the help of error handling functions. And then we will see the most important program which was asked many times in the end semester examinations. In that program is copying the contents of one file into the another file. Means if you are having two files, how do you copy the complete contents of file 1 into the file 2? So what is the technique of copying the contents that we are going to discuss? And then as usual, we are moving with the important and assignment questions related to today's class. So let us start our discussion with error handling in files. Friends, when you are working with the files, it is most common that sometimes errors may take place without our notice. Sometimes we may forget to do certain things while performing the operations on the files. But in C language, we have certain standard library functions which can be used to check whether any error has occurred or not while performing operations on the files. See here, from C library functions, we have two functions which are widely used to check for errors while performing operations on the files. And what are these two functions? One is FEOF function and another one is FError function. So what is this FEOF function? FEOF stands for file end of file. File end of file. And FError function is used to detect the errors that have been taken place while performing operations on the files. We will discuss these two functions in detail one by one. So let us start with the FEOF function. FEOF function, it stands for FEOF means file end of file function. The purpose of this function is when we are performing a read operation on the files, this function is used to know whether we have reached to the end of the file or not. It is very, very important to know whether we have reached to the end of the file or not when we are performing read operation on the file. Because if you cannot detect the end of the file, you are going on reading the contents of the file beyond its end. So this mistake cannot be identified either by a C compiler or by the operating system on which you are working. The responsibility lies completely on the programmer or the user who is writing the program for reading the contents of the file. So therefore, the best way to avoid such kind of errors is every time when we are performing read operation on the file, first we have to check whether we have reached the end of the file or not. If you know that you have reached the end of the file, then we have to stop reading the contents of the file. If you know that you have not yet reached the end of the file, then you can continue your reading. But before performing a read operation, it is always advisable to check whether we have reached to the end of the file or not. So FEOF function does help us in this regard. FEOF function allows us to know whether we have reached the end of the file or not. But how do we use this FEOF function, file end of function? Its syntax is very simple. If you know the syntax of FEOF function, then we know how to make use of this FEOF function. Let us see the syntax of FEOF function. So its syntax is integer, function name FEOF, and it is expected to receive only one argument. So that argument is the file pointer FP. We know that file pointer always point outs or refers a file on which we are performing read or write operation at that moment. So that is the use of file pointer. On whatever file we are performing a read operation or write operation, so that file is pointed out by or referred by the file pointer FP. And now in that file we have to check whether we have reached to the end of the file or not. So for that FEOF function, suppose if the file pointer within the file, if it is pointing out the end of the file character, means if we have reached the end of the file, then FEOF function will returns a non-zero value. Means FEOF function returns a non-zero value if we have reached the end of the file. Means if the file pointer is pointing out the last character, that is end of the file character, then FEOF function returns a non-zero integer value. From this we can understand that FEOF function, if it returns a non-zero integer value, it can be granted, it can be taken that we have reached the end of the file. So therefore we have to stop reading the contents of the file. Suppose if we have not yet reached the end of the file, means file pointer is pointing out some other characters other than end of the file character. If it is pointed out by the file pointer FP, then FEOF function returns a zero value. So whenever FEOF function returns a zero value, we can understand that we have not yet reached the end of the file. So therefore we can continue our reading from the file. So that is how we can use FEOF function to perform operation, to perform error checking operation on the file. Another function that is widely used to check for errors while performing operations on the file is ferror function. So this is the second function that is supported from the C library. ferror function can also be used to check whether any error has occurred while performing operations on the file up to that point. Means you have performed some operations on the file. It may be a read operation or write operation or file opening operation or file closing operation. Any kind of operation, suppose you have performed on the file, and you want to know whether any error has occurred up to that point in the file or not, then we use ferror function. So ferror function syntax is very simple. Its return type is integer value and followed by function name, and it is also like FEOF function. It is also expecting to receive only one argument, that is the file pointer. As usual, file pointer is pointing out a file on which we are presently performing either read or write operation. This is how the file pointer is used. File pointer is referring the file on which we are performing a operation at the moment. Then ferror function, if you pass this file pointer as argument to the ferror function then returns a non-integer value if any error has generated up to that point while performing operation on the file. Means ferror function, if it is returning a non-zero value, means we should understand that some mistake has been done by us up to this point. Some error has taken place. Then it is the responsibility of the user or the programmer who is performing operation on the file to check what type of error it is. And then they have to continue the program. That is how we can use ferror function. Suppose no error has been generated up to that point while performing operations on the file, then ferror function simply it returns a zero value. That is how if error function returns a zero value, it should be understood that we have performed our operations exceedingly well on the files. No error has been taken place up to that point. So therefore we can continue our operation on the file. That is how we can use ferror function to check for errors whether they have generated or not while performing operations on the files. Not only these two functions, FEOF and FRR functions. In addition to these two functions, we are also having another function, that is fopen function. Fopen function can also be used to detect whether any error has taken place while we are trying to open a file. We know that we have to open the file before performing any operation on the file. Without opening the file, it is not possible for us to perform operation on the file. So therefore, to perform any operation on the file, the first requirement is we have to open the file. But already we discussed that sometimes fopen function may fail to open a file. It cannot open a specified file sometimes because there may be several reasons why fopen function is failed to open a specified file. Means sometimes we may give a file name wrongly. When you are giving a file name wrongly and you are trying to open that file in the read mode, so fopen function cannot open that file. And sometimes you are giving a file name to the fopen function for which you do not have permission to open it. So in that case, fopen function may not open your file. And sometimes you are specifying a file name to the fopen function but that file is there somewhere in some other directory. It is not there in your current working directory or present working directory. So therefore, fopen function cannot open your file, because fopen function or any C library function refers any files or directories which are there in your current working directory. If they are there, then only they are referred by the C library functions. If they are there other than your current working directory, then those files cannot be determined, identified or find out by the C library functions. So these are, apart from this, there are so many other reasons that fopen function may fail in these cases to open the file. So in that case, before performing any read or write operation, it is always advisable to check whether our file has opened successfully by the fopen function or not. If you know that your file is not opened by the fopen function, or fopen function is unable to open your file, then you have to check many things, whether you have supplied the file name properly or not, or whether you have given a file name which is there in your current working directory or not, or you have to check whether you have a permission to open that file or not, or you have to check whether the file is there in a restricted security mode or not. So all these things you have to check when you know that fopen has failed to open your file. And then after checking all these things, again you can retry with the program. That is how you can use fopen function. But how this fopen function can be used to check whether a file is successfully opened by fopen function or not. So for that we should know the syntax and its return type, what things it is going to return when it is successfully opening the file, and what things it is going to return when it is not able to open the file. So these are the things we should know for using fopen function for error handling. Fopen function syntax is very simple. Its return type is file pointer followed by a file name, fopen function name, and it is expected to receive two arguments. First argument, as you know, it is a file name. File name is a string, so therefore it should be enclosed inside the double quotes. And mode specify the purpose for which you are opening the file, whether you are trying to open a file in read mode or write mode or append mode, that you have to specify as the second argument. Now suppose if the specified file, whatever you are specifying that file in the first argument, that file is trying to open by the fopen function. If fopen function, if it can open this specified file successfully, then it returns a file pointer to that file. Suppose if fopen function failed to open this file, then fopen function simply returns a null value. So therefore these two return values we have to remember. If fopen function returns a file pointer, we know that file is opened successfully. If fopen function returns a null value, we should understand that it has failed to open the file. So these things we can take to check whether our file is opened successfully or not by the fopen function. I have given a sample code here for your reference, how it can be used to check whether our file is opened successfully or not. See here how we wrote the code. First, we have used fopen function. For that, we have supplied two arguments. First argument is the file name, which we are trying to open it. And second argument is the mode, that is read mode. Means we are trying to open data.txt file in read mode. These two are given as arguments to the fopen function. Now, fopen function will try to open data.txt file in read mode. Suppose fopen function can able to find out this file in current working directory and for which you have a permission to open this file. So then it will open that file in read mode. Once this file is opened in read mode, fopen function assigns a file pointer to that file, and that file pointer is returned by fopen function and stored in the variable which is written on the left hand side of the assignment operator, that is in the variable fp. That file pointer is stored by the fopen function. Now we are checking the contents of fp. Suppose fopen function has successfully opened this file, it returns a file pointer. If open function has failed to open data.txt file, then it returns a null value to fp variable. So therefore now we are checking fp variable contents, whether fp variable contains null value or not. If fp value is not null value, then we can understand that fopen has successfully opened that file. So because of that reason, the variable fp is not containing null value. So therefore you can print the message. Because fp value, if it is equal to null, we know that fopen has failed to open the file. If fp value is not null, then we know that fopen function has opened that file successfully. So here what we are checking whether fp value is equal to null or not. If fp value is null, we know that that file cannot be opened by the fopen function. Okay, so therefore we are advising the user to check the file name properly. So then he may retry it. So this is how we can use even fopen function to test whether the file is opened successfully or not. It may be for any mode. A file can be opened for read mode, file can be opened for write mode. So whatever may be the mode. Okay, so after opening the file with the help of fopen function, it is our responsibility to check whether that file is opened successfully or not by the fopen function. Okay, so now after having the idea of how to make use of feof function, ferror function and fopen function, now the capabilities of these functions we can use in our program to check for errors. Let us see one complete program how we can use these capabilities of error handling functions to check for errors in C programs. Let us see. Here we have written a program. That program reads a text given by the user, and that text is read character by character from the user and writes that text to the file. And then it closes the file and opens the file in read mode and reads the content of the file character by character. And then writes that content character by character to the screen. So this is the same program that we have written in the previous classes. But here we have embedded error handling methodology into the program. Okay, that is only the difference. Same program we have already discussed how to write a character to the file and how to read text from the file character by character. This program already we have discussed, but there we have not implemented that program using error handling methodology. But here we are implementing that program using error handling methodology. Let us see. We have declared a file pointer fp here, and then a character variable ch and a string variable fname. Fname is declared to store a string which can have a maximum of 20 characters in it. Okay, means it is an array of character. In C language, a string is treated as an array of characters. So fname is declared to store a string that can have maximum of 20 characters in it. Now we are trying to asking the user to enter a file name to create that file and open that file in write mode. Okay, so then user will enter some name. We are instructing our computer to read that file name and store inside fname variable. Fname is declared as array of characters, means it can store string. So file name is a string. That file name is stored inside the variable f name. F name means file name. Now we are trying to open that file, whatever file name is given by the user, that file we are trying to opening through the fopen function. We have supplied that file name as the first argument to the fopen function, and we are trying to open that file in the write mode because we would like to write the text given by the user to this file character by character, isn't it? And then whatever value is returned by fopen function, that value we are assigning to the file pointer fp. So fp is declared as a file pointer. It holds a pointer which is of type file star. Now after opening the file, it is our responsibility to check whether that file is opened successfully or not in the write mode. We know how to check it. If fp file pointer value is null, we know that the file is not opened by the fopen function because the file name may be wrong, or the user may not have the permission to open that file in write mode, or that file may be located in some other directory. So like that, so many problems may be there. So therefore we are advising the user that sorry, this file cannot be created with the given name. Try it by changing the file name. Because we are trying to open the file in write mode with the given name, we know what is going to happen when you are trying to open any file in write mode. If that file is there in the present working directory, that file will be opened and its content will be deleted by the fopen function. Suppose if no file is there in the current working directory with that name, then fopen function creates a new file with that name. But suppose if you do not have a permission to create new files, then fopen function cannot create a new file. Then fopen function may be failed to create a new file with the given name. So therefore we are printing this message to the user. Since you have not opened any file in write mode, so it is better to stop our program. So we are stopping our program by making a call to exit function. Exit function, whenever it is called, so automatically it immediately stops the execution of the program. It closes your program. It terminates your program. Okay. And whenever you are using exit 0 function, you have to include stdlib.h library because exit function definition is available in stdlib.h library. So therefore it should be included. Now suppose if fp value is not null, fp contains some, it is referring some file. So in that case fp value is not null. So therefore this condition becomes false. So else part is executed. In the else part we are writing that the file is created and opened in write mode successfully. So that is how we are open. Once the file is opened in write mode successfully, then you can ask the user to enter the text and you can read that text character by character, and then you can write that information to the file character by character. That is what we are doing next. We are asking the user to enter the text and press star at the end. That is star mark, we are using it as a mark for to tell that the text given by the user is over. So therefore here we are using a while statement, while loop, to read characters one by one from the user. First we are reading first character with the help of getCher function, and that character is read first character and stored inside ch variable, and the content of ch variable we are checking whether it is equal to star or not. If content of ch is not equal to star, then we are writing that character to the file with the help of putc function, and then getCher reads next character means second character, stores in ch variable, and if ch variable value is, if it is not null, not star, then it is that character is also returned to the file. And then again loop is repeated, getCher reads third character and then stores in ch variable. If that third character, if it is not equal to star, then that is also returned to the file. So this process goes on until getCher reads star. Whenever getCher reads star and stores inside variable ch, so star is not equal to star becomes false, and the while loop is stopped there, terminated there. Since once star is reached, we know that we have reached the end of the text given by the user. So therefore we are stop writing the file. We are stopping writing the file. Then since our writing operation is over, then we are closing the file. Now we have to check. Our responsibility is, now we have taken text given by the user, we have read that text character by character and we wrote it to the file, and we have closed that file once writing is over. Now our job is to open that file in read mode and read the contents of the file character by character, and then we have to display it on the screen. So what we are doing is, here now see, we are trying to open the file, same file name in read mode. And after opening the file pointer is assigned by fopen function to that file. So that file pointer is stored in the variable fp. Now again we are checking, because we have to check whether that file is opened successfully in read mode or not. So that is how here see, fp is equal to null. If fp value is null, then we know that the fopen function has failed to open the file. So therefore we are displaying a message to the user that this file cannot be opened in read mode, check it once. Means error may be there with the user, that is, user may not have permission to read the file. So in that case the user cannot open the file. Okay, our file may be corrupted so that it cannot be opened by the fopen function. So there may be so many reasons why fopen function has failed. Since file cannot be opened in read mode, you cannot read the content of the file. So therefore we are immediately closing the program by making a call to exit 0 function. Suppose if fp value is not null, then immediately this statement is executed. Because condition is false here, the statements are skipped and this statement is executed. What is that statement? The file is opened successfully in read mode. So therefore now you can read the contents of the file. So before reading the contents of the file, we are printing a message that the contents of the file is, then we are using a while loop to read the contents of the file until we reached the end of the file character. So whether we have reached the end of the file character or not will be verified by the FEOF function. And we know FEOF function returns a non-zero value when file pointer is reaching the end of the file character. Means at the end of the file, if it is pointing out, then FEOF function returns a non-zero value. Otherwise it returns 0 value. That's what we wrote condition here. We are checking when it is not equal to the end of file character, then we are asking to read a character from the file and store it in ch variable. And whatever content is there in ch variable, we are displaying on the screen. Then while loop is repeated. First it is verifying that whether we have reached the end of the file. If it is not end of the file character, then again we are jumping inside the loop, and then we are reading the next character, storing it in ch, and with the help of printf function we are displaying the content of ch variable on the screen, and then we are going back to the while loop, and then we are checking the third character whether it is the end of the file character or not. If it is not end of the file character, then we are reading next character, storing it inside ch variable, and then we are displaying the contents of ch on the screen. Then again we are jumping back to the while loop, reading checking next character whether it is end of the file character or not. If it is not end of the file character, then reading that character, displaying on the screen. This process goes on repeating until we are reaching the end of the file character in the file. And you know, end of the file character is there only at the end of the file. So therefore, once you have reached the end of the file, means you have read the complete contents of the file. So therefore we can stop reading. So this loop will be broken only when you have reached the end of the file. So once end of the file is reached, you know that you have read the complete contents of the file. So therefore you can close the file. That is how we are doing. So this is the program that we have modified the previous program to incorporate the error handling methodology. And now we are going to discuss the most important program which was asked many times in the examination. That is copying the contents of one file into the another file. Means you are having file 1, it is containing some data. So that data as easily you have to copy into the file 2. How we are going to do this activity? It is very simple. Open the file 1 in read mode, because your intention is to copy the content of file 1 into file 2. So therefore first open the file 1 in read mode, because you have to read the contents from file 1 and you have to copy that into file 2. So therefore open the file 2 in write mode. Read character by character from file 1 and write it to file 2 character by character. So this process goes on doing till you reach the last character in the file 1. When you reach the last character in the file 1, read that character and write it to the file 2. And after the last character in the file, you are having end of file character. So once you reach the end of the file character in file 1, stop writing to the file 2. So that is how we are doing. Means file 1 we are opening in the read mode, file 2 we are opening in the write mode, and then reading one character from file 1 and writing immediately to file 2, and then reading next character, second character from file 1 and writing that second character to file 2, and reading third character from file 1 and writing that third character to file 2. So like this, reading from file 1 one character and writing that one character to file 2. So this process goes on repeating until we reach end of the file character in file 1. So once you reach the end of the file character in file 1, you can stop reading the contents from file 1 and writing it to the file 2. So you have finished your job, that copying the contents of file 1 into the file 2. Then you can close both the programs and then you can close your program. So we are going to discuss this program. So in this program also we are going to use error handling methodology. Whatever functions we have discussed, FEOF function or ferror function, fopen function, their capabilities we are going to use to check for errors while performing operations on the files. See, in this program we have declared two file pointers, FP1 and FP2. These are the two file pointers that we have discussed here, that we have declared here. And then two string variables, fname1, fname2, array of characters. They can hold, fname1 will hold the first file name and fname2 will hold second file name. And ch variable is used to store the characters which are read from file 1 and which are to be written to the file 2. Now we are asking the user to enter file names. Enter source file name. Source file name means first file name. So that string we are reading and storing inside fname1. And then we are asking the user to enter the second file name. Second file is called target file or destination file. So that target file name we are reading and storing inside fname1. Now we are trying to open the first file in read mode and second file with the help of fopen function in write mode. Now it is our responsibility to check whether first file is opened in read mode or not properly, and second file is also we have to check whether it is opened properly in write mode or not. If any one of these two files are not opened, then we can close the program, because if any one of these files are not opened, you cannot continue the copying process. So therefore we can close the program or terminate the program by making a call to exit 0 function. That is what we are going to do next. See the code written here. First we are checking file 1 whether fp1 first file pointer is null or not. If fp1 is pointing out first file name. If that fp1 is null, we know that the first file means source file cannot be opened in read mode. Try it again by changing the source file name. So we cannot open the file 1, so therefore we cannot continue our copying process. So therefore we are closing the program immediately by making a call to exit 0 function. Suppose if fp1 value is not null, when it is not null, if file 1 is opened successfully by fopen function, then fp1 directly point out that file, its value is not null. So therefore this condition becomes false and else part is executed because condition becomes false. So therefore false block is executed, means else block statements are executed. In the else block we wrote that the source file is opened in read mode successful. That is how we are checking the first file. Similarly, we have to check the status of the second file. So second file is pointed out by fp2. So if fp2 value is null, we know that the second file is not opened in write mode. So therefore we are advising the user try by changing the destination file name. Suppose if fp2 means second file is opened successfully, then fp2 variable value is not null because it is pointing out to destination file. So therefore its value is not null. If this value is not null is equal to null becomes false. Okay, so therefore else part is executed. In the else part what we wrote, the destination file is opened in write mode successfully. So when else part is executed, then our program will be continuing its execution. Since both files have been opened, first file is opened in read mode, second file is opened successfully in write mode. So now you can read character by character from first file and write that content to the second file. That is what we are doing. So while we are checking the first file pointer, whether first file pointer is pointing out end of the file character or not. If it is not end of the file character, then we are trying to read the first character from the file and then we are writing to second file with the help of fp2 and put c function. And then we are trying to read second, we are trying to check second character in the file 1. If the second character in the file 1 is not the end of file character, then we are reading second character and writing it to the second file. Then we are going back to while loop and we are checking third character. If third character is not end of the file character, then we are going inside the loop and then we are reading third character and then writing third character to the file. Then we are going back to the loop and checking fourth character. If fourth character is not null, then again we are reading fourth character from the file 1 and writing it to the file 2. So like that this process is going on repeating until we come across a end of file character in file 1. So when you come across a end of the file character in file 1, this condition becomes false and the loop is stopped there itself. So once when you have reached the end of the file character in file 1 means all characters from file 1 have been read and written to the file 2. So your copying process is over. So therefore we are printing the message. After this loop is closed, it prints the message. The contents of percentage place f name 1 means file name 1 is printed. Okay, means the source file name is printed. The contents of source file is copied into so and so destination file. This is the message, it is printed there. And then we are closing first file and second file because our copying process is over. Then we are closing the program because our job is done. So this is how we can use this methodology to copy the contents of file 1 into the file 2. So this program is most important program. Many times it was asked for 10 marks and they have also asked to explain about each statement in this program. So first you have to write the program with the comment lines. After writing the program, you have to explain how the copying process is being done in the program. So now let us see the important questions related to today's class. So there are only 2 important questions related to today's class. That is, explain about the error handling functions in the files in detail. So we have discussed 3 functions, that is FEOF function, FERROR function and then FOPEN function. You have to write about their syntax and you have to explain about how they are going to be used for handling the errors in files. So that is what you have to write. And then the second question is, write a C program for copying the contents of one file into the another file. And this program just now we have discussed and I already told you that it is most important program. So therefore you have to learn that program. So these are the 2 important questions related to today's class. And these 2 questions you can write as an assignment and submit it to me as early as possible. So thank you all. Thank you for listening. And then if you have any queries or doubts, don't forget me to call me on 9848919656. Okay, so thank you all for your patience listening. Thank you all.